Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Rogues and Recaps. I'm your host, Joshua Barbeau, and this is one of my players, Nicholas Elliott. Say hello, Nicholas.
Nice to meet everyone.
Nicholas plays the character of Ondar, a human bard in our D&D game. You might notice that my usual co-host of Natalie, is not here right now, and that's on purpose. She doesn't actually know this episode is being... She's texting me right now. How funny is that? She doesn't actually know this episode is being filmed. That's because we want to talk about secrets. In the last episode, I briefly talked about the appeal of playing solo sessions with some of your players and why that can add to the lore of your campaign world. The flavor. Nick and I just played a solo session because his character got separated from the group. This isn't our first solo session because each player played a solo session with me before starting the game, kind of like a prologue.
A session zero is something.
A session zero, yeah. So that their character could have some experiences working in the world before those experiences intertwine them with the rest of the party. But he got separated, and so we had to have another solo session. So we want to talk about that. Let's take it away, Nick. Why don't you tell us, briefly summarize what happened today?
So with our party arriving in the illustrious city of Waterdeep, Ondar, to their eyes, faded from view. And
vanished.
To one point, that was all I knew about it until we were able to get together today and play the session.
It's still all they know about
It's still all they know.
In fact, last session, one character, Adran, kept walking around town trying his best to learn how someone could get teleported against their will. Because if you don't know, in Dungeons & Dragons there are teleport spells, but teleporting someone against their will is very difficult. Normally, most teleport spells require a willing target.
Now, in this case, it was a much more devious kidnapping, as it turned out to be. A party of seemingly unknown individuals turning me invisible. Being assailed, I was grappled, my mouth covered, so I was unable to call to my party, who, to my eyes, I could still see, and they were still around. And as they began looking for me, I tried to reach them. Adran actually walked close enough that I could almost reach my foot out and try and touch him as I was being restrained. But with the skills of my captors, I was not able to escape, and as they took me out of the city, back in a cart, then revealed me as visible to a member, I believe, of the Red Sashes. Knowing their repute as one of the leading guilds, members
they're vigilantes
of Waterdeep.
Yeah,
it was made apparent that I was definitely playing someone else's tune at this point. With my resistance being noted, I was actually then put to sleep magically. When I awoke, there was a much different environment. White marble, clean sheets, all my belongings, including weapons, there before me. Initially suspicious, Ondar was soon able to grasp this was a more social calling and presented himself downstairs. Are we allowed to go into these secrets?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right. For those who have...
They're going to find out soon enough. I'm sure you're going to tell them all about this on Sunday when we play again. And that'll be before this episode's released, so...
So it'll be aftermath at that point.
Yeah.
Well, to our viewers now, if you haven't read of or heard of the Lady Illustrial Silverhand, that was who was waiting for me at the banquet table, so to speak, for a early morning breakfast. Just myself and her. And seeing as Ondar is a level 2 bard, is definitely out of his depth. He had to rely on his background of etiquette and niceties in order to get through the encounter alive. Almost beginning the session and I'm meeting one of the greatest characters in the Forgotten Realms.
So talk about the experience of meeting an NPC that carries such big renown, but also talk about what that experience is like separate from your party.
So there's this poker face right here. Inside is going like that in your minds, because Josh knows I've read many a novel in the Forgotten Realms, and I am very aware of who Lady Illustrial was. Despite that momentary mind blank of getting a huge name drop and going, which of the Seven Sisters is this? Is this Storm? Is this one of the others? Wait, is she the leader of Silverymoon? I know all this stuff, but immediately your mind is going 1,000 miles an hour, and you're trying to remember everything you know about this person. and then you have to mentally rein in going, okay, meta knowledge, and not overplaying the character. Having that reaction was a very shocking and causing palm sweats reaction for me. Having that separate from my party, a bit of an honor. I felt very nice, both as a player and a character, to have that experience. Again, completely out of the blue and unexpected, but meaning something I can take back and share with them. And as any player will say, having something you can kind of one-up over your party makes you feel a bit
Dungeons
lucky.
and Dragons is an interactive role-playing game. It's an interactive storytelling game at its heart. That's what the game is really about.
Well, communal storytelling.
Communal storytelling, yeah. That chance to create new stories as a group with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And normally the players are deciding what the main characters of the protagonists of that story are doing, but the Dungeon Master is responsible for sharing with the players the depth of the world that they live in. What's exciting to me, at least as a Dungeon Master, is when we get to moments where another player, one of the protagonists of the game is getting to share with the other protagonists parts of that world depth. Because then it's like, it's not just me as an omniscient figure telling you guys what to expect in this world. It's also each other, like we each have a piece of the puzzle, and if we put them together, we have a better understanding of the world that we exist in.
Well,
and that's something that we're getting to do because of these solo sessions, both the prologues that we had, but also now this one.
I got to meet Lady Alestriel, but the party hasn't. So instead of the DM, Josh, introducing Lady Alestriel as an existing figure in this world, which they know of, but to actually have her introduce the story because of me saying to them, hey guys, guess who I just met? Which is what's going to happen when I actually rejoin the party, hopefully in the next session.
What you don't know too much about is the last session. We had a special guest show up, an old friend of ours who had played with us previously, but he moved to Windsor. And so last session, none of the players except for Natalie knew he was coming. And I played some solo sessions with him, and so he got to surprise the players with his presence, but also with his knowledge of the world that they didn't, his pieces of the puzzle that he was able to share. And now, so soon after, they're not expecting this, Ondar gets to do the same thing.
Surprise return yet again.
Surprise return and again. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I quite look forward to it.
What happened to you? Again, we don't want to go too much into spoilers, but what happened to you after your encounter with Lady Silverhand?
Well, the breakfast resulted in a quest issued. Lady and I shared some more pleasantries. She, either by teleportation and or illusion, somehow whisked me back to where the red sashes appeared to be holding me, and I was returned incognito to Waterdeep again in the garden. Yeah. So I've rejoined the city, thankfully. Didn't have to walk all the way back from Silverymoon, if in fact that was where I was.
And it's funny because while they were looking for you, you were looking for them. Because you were trying to catch up with the parties, but you had no idea where they were.
It's a big city, okay?
It is. Waterdeep is a big city.
Check a map.
And even though you had a few ideas as to where they might be holding up, you still weren't at the right places at the right time until you've come to the Grinning Lion where you're going to meet them.
We have many celebrations to look forward to in the party.
Of course. Lots of things happened. Lots of little details that we won't really talk about happened in your solo session just now. And there's still much from the prologue sessions that is yet to come up too.
Which is, again, in part because we are still early into our campaign. This method of DMing a table together and then operating solo or side sessions, or even momentary 10-minute gaps where the rest of the party steps aside. All these are what you can use to integrate different levels and layering to your storytelling. Mm-hmm. And so far, I think Josh has been doing a great job. Well,
thank you. But all of this is to say that if you're intimidated by the idea of a one-on-one session with some of your players, give it a try. It has. I said this in the last episode because of Drew, but I'll say it again. One-on-one sessions with my players and giving them secrets that they can share at their own leisure, at a time of their own choosing with the rest of the party, has really created a stronger sense of suspension of disbelief. as to the reality of the world that they live in.
We all know the world is real, and it was terrifying. Even learning harmless truths one-on-one with the DM, I will not lie, is nerve-wracking. And again, even now, my palms are sweating, knowing what I know. I can just feel the knowledge that I have, and I cannot wait to share it in an appropriate time and place with my party.
Think of all the fun that you have as a dungeon master when you think of the cool things that you want your players to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And now think about getting to share that fun with each of the players in different ways. So now I've shared some stuff with Nick. So I got to have my fun as a dungeon master sharing how the world works with Nick.
And watching my reactions.
And watching his reactions. But now I get to have that fun a second time as Nick shares it with the party. You know, you have one piece of the puzzle and you think you have a one-up on the players, but they might have other pieces of the same puzzle, and you might reveal something to them and be like, hey, I met Lady Silverhand. And then someone else might be like, oh, I met her too, and she sent me on this quest. They didn't. Nobody else has met Lady Silverhand. But that's the point is that there's all kinds of things going on.
The word is synchronicity.
Synchronicity. and when you reveal the piece of the puzzles that you have, it might unlock new pieces of the puzzles that they have that they didn't realize there was more to it than what they were aware of.
Yes, the fun thing when you pick up a pair of dice and sit with some friends is that one question of, I wonder what's going to happen next. It'll be a fun day.
Stay tuned because we are definitely going to have a video to talk about how that goes. I'm looking forward to it.
As am I.
And thank you for being a special guest on this episode. I definitely needed somebody to talk to about secrets, and it couldn't be Natalie because she doesn't even know you've had this solo session.
Hopefully she doesn't see this right before, but once you do watch it, Natalie, this one's for you.
Thank you again for watching. If you like these videos so far, you can like us and subscribe to us, or check us out at chaoticrogue.com. My name is Joshua Barbeau, and this is
Nicholas Elliott.
Thanks again. Tune in later.